achieve success with Global.Media.com. Every step forward is a new beat to your drum. Achieve success with Global.Media.com. Then celebrate it with or without champagne or...
As always happens.
Are we live?
You would be. You're live, but you're not live on LinkedIn because LinkedIn, they just locked you out. Just kicked you off LinkedIn. Really annoying. So I'm gonna have to log in as you.
Oh
So it
my
doesn't reconnect your
goodness.
account.
And why are you frozen on my screen at least?
Oh,
I don't. Why do you always say that? No, when I move, then I move. Right.
You
Let's
don't.
find Lisa's
You're
account. Where's
frozen.
Lisa's account? Let's
Yeah,
stop
you
that.
see, it's
Stop
not just
that.
me. And I
Right.
just
New to
connected
LinkedIn,
my
no.
account.
Yes, any no. Why are you being horrid?
Oh my goodness.
It wouldn't let me in any. It was really horrible to me
Oh
too.
my gosh.
Oh, there's Lisa.
Yeah, every time we start a LinkedIn live.
I tell you, it's so
Oh my
it's only yours that does this, by the way.
No,
But
it's not.
but you are
We
live
had
on
this-
Facebook. You're live on other places, by the way.
We had this problem earlier.
Yeah, I know it's not just me, but I mean, come on.
Only your account gets locked out, so that Paulette doesn't
Oh,
get
okay, yeah,
out.
I get locked out all the time. But that's okay. Welcome everyone to another LinkedIn Live where we talk all about menopause, everything that affects us menopausal women, and our partners who support us. So we welcome everyone into this room. Today we are blessed to be joined by Jackie, and in about half an hour's time we'll be joined by Gabe, who are experts when we're talking about love and relationships and emotional resilience through relationships. And Saturday is Valentine's Day, and the world likes to talk about, you know, the roses, the chocolates, the external validations of that love. But I wanted to talk today about how do we love ourselves? How do we talk to ourselves at this time, especially when we're going through something such as perimenopause or menopause? And how do we invite our partners into this conversation? When do we speak to them? How do we speak to them? How can they support us? So today is going to be a really interesting conversation. So let me pass the mic to Paulette to introduce herself quickly for the very few people who don't know who Paulette is. But please let us know that you're here. Any comments, because we cannot see you, unfortunately. So tell us any comments that you're here and where you're joining us from. Paulette, my friend.
So okay, if you've been living under a rock, my name is Paulette Hallam. I'm really here as the sort of therapy stroke counselling role for this room. But Lisa's just one of my besties, so we just help each other out. But I'm really here just to support her. Yes, I'm an author. Yes, I do children's books. Yes, I've been a counsellor and a therapist. And I've also been at the top of the ladder of the corporate world. So I fit into lots of different areas. I'm a wife, I'm a mother, I'm a foster, I was a foster child. So I've got lots of different facets to me. And lots of the time, Lisa can call on one of those facets. So, yes, I'm the facet girl. Over to you.
Jackie, you could go ahead.
Well, hi, everybody. I'm Jackie Hallberg, and I am so excited to be on stage with the three of you. Lisa, you and I have been the only one out of all of us that I've been on stage with. When Gabe's here, I've been on with him, but what a joy. I love watching your show so much, and I'm getting to that age where either all my friends are already in menopause, they've already passed it, they're getting towards it. I'm kind of just like, when's my time? I'm not sure, but I'm listening to it all and trying to soak it all up like crazy. But I do a lot of things on everything. You know, I do a lot of family work, and I've been in the conflict resolution, re-entry, and restorative justice space my whole career, pretty much working with victims of crime, working with people that commit crime, working with people that have sabotaged their relationships, that are getting divorced, that are ostracizing family members, have been doing all the things, have kids that are rebelling, and all kinds of relationship issues. And I still do that during the day, and at night or weekends or off time, I do just Jack's advising, which I can consult on all those things I talked about. But my true passion is loving ourselves, loving the partners we're with, or who we're dating, or who we're spending our time with. When we truly love and feel happiness and joy, we translate that out into the community, and we're not as angry and bitter humans, and we're finding hope and joy, and we're bringing it to the office, and we're bringing it to the grocery store. And so I am focusing on romance coaching right now, and really trying to liven people back up if they're in one of those kind of ho-hum relationships. Oh, I'm stuck with him forever, or she's going to be around too long, I'm not having fun, I'm not having any intimacy. Or if you're dating a bunch of duds, or you're scared of dating because you've ran into so much ick, I'm your girl to help you out, because I've been through about everything. I was married for over 20 years. I've been divorced for about 7 years, have dated just about every type of human under the sun, and have had great experience, and absolutely gotten played and baffled and back and forth. And I am here to help you guys learn from some of my issues.
Yes, and I think that's where I saw you on TikTok talking about relationships, and I was like, oh, okay, I need to have Jackie on my show because I just love the ease at which you share that information and the realness, the authenticity. So I said, okay, I have to have Jackie here. So you mentioned Gabe. Gabe is running late because he's in transit from work, so he'll join us when he can. So Annie, the mic is over to you to introduce yourself quickly before we start the conversation.
We have to match Jackie's energy. We have to match Jackie's energy.
I need
I
a
don't know
drink for that or
how,
something.
because we're just not that way inclined, are we? At all.
No.
I'm going to be on Jackie's show. I'm like, Jackie, I just can't. I'm just, yeah. It'll be fun. Anyway, it'll be fun. Crystal's here, though. I can see her on my YouTube. So welcome, Crystal. How are you doing? Who can you see on your LinkedIn, Lisa?
I'm seeing Linda. Hi, Linda. I'm seeing Martha or Marsha as we know her. Who else?
Yeah, no, Linda's here, Marsha's here.
Yeah, I'm seeing more. I know more people are here. Please let us know where you're joining us from, because LinkedIn is not showing us comments, and StreamYard is just being extra special today. So please leave a comment and let us know where you're joining us from.
Yeah, and that's look. My thing these days, the only thing I'm interested in is my author speakers conference. Yay! On the 26th of Feb. Yeah, tickets are ready to be sold, my friends. I hope you all buy one. It is $10, right? So £10, which I don't know, was that $12 thereabouts. But you get to hear my 6 amazing speakers share their stories about why they're right. Paulette's one of those speakers. Yay. It'd be nice to turn up from a speaker's event and I just sit there and let other people shine. And I do nothing. If only, Paulette, if only, right? No, it'd be fun. I'm excited because it's the culmination of a dream, a long-held dream. So I don't know. It will. The fact that we're just doing it means it will go well anyway. So I'm proper excited. I'll share the link in the comments and go and buy some tickets, my friends. We want to see you there. If anyone wants to be a sponsor, of course you can be, right? Yeah, I'm still recruiting sponsors. Yes. Anyway, the excitement is killing me, as you can tell.
Yes, I know, and it's going to be a great event. I mean, if Paulette is going to be a speaker,
I said, like, you're in your Valentine's thing. I don't know. In my house, we just don't celebrate Valentine's. We'll give you the usual spiel all year round is Valentine's. So yeah, that's our excuse. So I can't wait to hear what you are going to share. Now, I think that Jackie, I am excited and intrigued by your romance conversations. I say my friends here know that I've been wanging on about talking about the importance of sexuality in our lives and our business.
We
These are things.
are
These are things I'm totally mad. Things I'm
we are
totally doing.
mammals. We are meant to be sexual beings.
You
And
tell her. You tell
we
her, my
stop
friend.
talking about it when we get a certain age or when we're
Lisa,
around
hear that?
people. We
Yeah.
stop talking about it if we have a physical disability or if a mental illness. We stop talking about it when we've had grief or our kids are a certain age. But no, honey, we're mammals.
You tell them, I think it's more about love and loving ourselves and loving people deeply.
Intimacy.
That's a real conversation than being. I guess that's being the sex act itself. I'm saying it's not that. It's there's more to it than that.
Yes.
Exactly.
I mean,
Yeah,
if Leslie
I
Flower
think
talks about it, it must be important, right?
one of the things that I've spoken to a couple of female friends over the last few years, especially due to the menopause. I mean, I'm the oldest in the room here at 61, so I'm an ancient. But you know, females don't stop wanting to be told they look nice. They don't want to stop feel like they're loved, feel like they've been seen, feel like they're being heard. Just like we always say, just because we're in menopause, just because we've put on a bit of weight, just because maybe things in that department down there aren't quite the same as they used to be, doesn't mean that department's closed for business. It just means it's got a temporary leave, you know? And if we need to put a little sign round that says temporary leave of absence, call back later, let's do it, you know? Let's make it into humour. Let's make it into it's not a no, it's just a not right now. But why don't we go and have a cuddle? Why don't we just lie next to each other, you know, and be cuddly as opposed to humping, you know? And I think that the key that for me is that my friends are saying to me that their partners, in one case, the partner, the male, has kind of gone a bit off the boil and she's still kind of up for it. And the other way around is my other friend is saying to me, well, you know, once a month, that's more than enough, isn't it? And it's more than enough, isn't it? And I'm like, you know, well, nobody knows what everyone's doing because if you tell the truth, people would, everybody tells lies. Those people in the office that are saying they're doing it, you know, 6 times a week and twice on Tuesday, you know, they're lying, right? So the point is, why do we do that? Because it's comparison and it makes it very difficult when you are in menopause and you are going through stuff and you are having body issues and whatever. The last thing you need is for people to start competing and comparing. So I kind of think that we need to be kinder to each other. I don't think we need to be in that comparison mode. I think everybody is individual, but what we can say is what works for you works for you. No one's going to tell you that you need to, you know, lose 3 stone and get down the gym and looking for sex 6 times a week to be the same as Susie down the road because we're all different. And I think that's the key. And my friends, I've had to say to both of them, you do you. If it works for you, great. And if it doesn't, talk about it. Have the conversation. You know, and I'm going to be a bit crude here, but I'll say it anyway. I said to her, tell him to go in the shower and wash it quickly, right? And then come back to bed and have a cuddle. If that's going to stop there being a problem, let's do it that way. And she burst out laughing. She said, I don't think I can say that. And I said, but you know what? If you do, it might break the ice and stop this like angst that's going on. Humor is a great way of getting over some of the more difficult conversations. And that's kind of what I've recommended to try and help people because I think this particular topic can get very, very personal, very, very deep, very, very quickly, and we'll say things that hurt each other at the most awkward and intimate of moments. And I think if we get back, come out of the bedroom and have the conversations in the lounge, by the time we get to the bedroom, it's kind of resolved and we know where we stand and we know what's going to be happening. And there's no illusions as to what is or isn't going to be happening. That's something I think that we really need to concentrate on, because certainly my friends who have been very open and honest, and I thank them for it, said it's been the hardest time of their lives. You know, dreading their husband coming in from work going, "Yippee, tonight's the night." And you're like, "News for you. I came on this morning." You know, um, 14 days straight, sorry. And they don't believe you, you know, but it's menopause and anything goes, anything happens. And I think that's a very honest and open conversation we have long before the bedroom. Do you not agree, Lisa?
Yeah, and I think that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because a lot of times we hear love, we hear sex, and we think of the physical aspect of it, and not thinking there's so much more that goes into it, especially when we're going through perimenopause and menopause, and we're in menopause until we die. So there's no end to it. There may be a decrease in symptoms, or debilitating symptoms might go away, but we're in menopause until we die. So we'll always have these issues. So this is the time to have the conversation. I'm happy to see more people in the audience. I know we're not getting them on stage. So there's Jay. Hi, Jay. And I'm seeing Annie Foster, Yolanda, Leslie's here. Hi, Leslie. And Crystal is just saying hi to everyone for us. So thanks so much. And I'm really happy to see that Gabe is here, the other half of our guest speaker, Dio. So thank you so much for joining us. He had a show last week, Friday, on and let me emotional safety, and I saw it and I said, yes, this is a person I think should join the conversation. Let's get the male perspective on being, how do we see ourselves, how do we see our partners. So Gabe, let me just give you a minute to introduce yourself properly for the couple people in the audience that who may not know you, and then I'll start the conversation.
Real quickly, my name is Gabe Leal. I am a husband, father, content creator, video producer, podcast, anything that has to do with media. I love doing it. That's kind of been my wheelhouse, and talking about the things that interested me was love. And so I consider myself a love advocate. That's what I call myself. Because, this, in this world, I don't know, we need more of it, especially here in the States. I mean, love is one of those things that I feel like you can never have enough of. There's never enough of a good thing. That's one of them. So that's kind of me in a nutshell. And of course, my partner, but she's not here just yet. But yeah, we do this together because we have both found it interesting enough to say, if we can use what we've experienced in finding love, that we could hopefully spread that message to others who might be looking for it. So yeah, that's kind of what we do and what I've been doing now for the last couple of years. Thank you. And as far as what we're talking about here, I'm glad you got to invite me to speak here, because I think it was something that was, it's very important, not only from, the perspective of you ladies and all the women out there who are going through menopause, but then also what it's like. And I was listening to Paulette speak about, being a husband and loving somebody. I think my wife's going through perimenopause, so she's not there yet. We know that, getting up there in age, some of those, your body starts to change, the hormones change, things start to change. And, one of the things that we've always talked about is just making sure we take care of our health. And that's kind of what spurred this on is I was reading one of Lisa's newsletters about this, and I had to comment. And yeah, I mean, it was enough to say, yes, I need to start doing something about this, and then at least sharing what it's like to be a man and understand, or not understand, but try to maybe sympathize or find, level ground with women who are suffering through the beginning stages or in the middle, or even have gone completely through menopause. It changes you. And that's something that I guess us, the males, probably don't go through some kind of metamorphosis like this. Because you ladies carry your eggs from birth until this point of when they now, go away. They pretty much dissipate, and that's something that's part of your life cycle. That's been part of your life cycle, and then one day it's like, hey, it's gone. By the way, so yeah, your body is, of course, it's going to change. Everything changes, the mentality, everything about it. So I mean, I've always been one who's wanted to learn and adapt and become, better prepared at any kind of situations that might, arise because of something as simple as a woman who is aging gracefully.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there you go. Thank
And
you.
that point you raised at the end of her eggs. So some women choose not to have children, but being told you don't have that choice anymore, you can't have this choice, that it's over. That alone sends women, minds, they're not a woman anymore, they're not viable anymore, they're of no use anymore. And you're in midlife and you have so much to deal with, and I often talk about it. It's aging parents, it's work, it's children, it's that family structure. How do you see yourself? Losing that confidence. There's so much that goes on, and this is the time where suicide rates are the highest and divorce rates are the highest.
Oof.
And whether that is from the man saying, okay, well, I don't know who I'm living with anymore. I don't recognize this woman. I don't want to be part of this anymore. Whether it's from the woman saying, okay, I don't really like who I married. I made a wrong choice. I'm going to make a different choice now. I'm going to end this relationship and start something else. We're not sure exactly what happens because the data isn't broken down like that yet. But we know divorce rates are highest. We know suicide rates are highest around this time. And it's from something that, as you said, happens naturally to a woman. So I think this is why we need to keep having these conversations to, one, normalize the conversation, normalize the word sex. It's okay to say it. There's nothing wrong with that. And it's not just about the physical act of it. It's the intimacy, it's the confidence. Because around this time, anxiety levels are the highest, depression is high. So you're dealing with all that, and some women physically don't want to be touched. They don't. I have had clients who wanted to have a divorce because of how their husband was breathing. They couldn't stand it anymore. And that might seem crazy to somebody. It's like your husband's breathing is going to want you to make it. And they're like, yes, I don't like him the way he cuts his nails. I don't like the way he chews. I don't like the way I'm done. I'm good. I'm done. Right. But this is why we need to have this awareness conversation. So like, okay, this is the menopause doing this. And there's no end to it. When menopause ends is when we leave this earth.
Yeah.
So the more we come to terms with the conversation, the more we come to terms with what is happening in our bodies, and then to share it with our partners so that they understand and they could be part of your support system. I think this is why we need to have this conversation. So I wanted to jump in first to, and he said something earlier, and he left the stage. She was in one of his shows earlier, and he was saying that, we make the decision if to stay with somebody or where are you? He left the stage. He's running from this conversation. I know he's hiding under the covers. And do you remember the exact thing you said? Because it was really meaningful. And I know you always say, oh, you can't contribute to the conversation. But what do you remember exactly what you said? It was about not wanting to be around the person, not wanting to be touched by the person, and that feeling normal, but the partner not understanding it. Oh my goodness, I should have
No,
written it out.
I was just like the crazy dynamics, I suppose, that happens, in menopause, especially looking at it from a man's side. It's, I think Paulette said it earlier, and either party, can have an issue at any one time. But we must find peace somehow. Because the man can be the one who, like you say, who wants out, and the woman can be the one who wants out the next day. And there's no victory for anyone really. We must somehow find a way, I guess, just to live together, right? And be understanding, and I suppose, and accepts that we are in this relationship together. It's a choice we make. No one's been forced to stay there, so that's peace we must find either way, however you look at it. Otherwise, we can't do nothing. I think not talking about how we feel there's probably more that causes more the problem. I think we must find a way to at least have a conversation. That's Paulette said earlier as well. We need to have a conversation and find neutral ground, find peace. That means different things to different people, right? For some it is reigniting the relationship. Dates nights and things like that. But for others, so for some people, that's a fate to worse than death. And who knows which one is right? Which is going to happen in anyone's situation, right? So, good luck with that. That's why I say, can I go back to my little hole now?
Oh my gosh, for a minute, yes.
Okay.
So I wanted to touch on what Annie said about having that conversation. How do we start? And I know, Jackie, you said that you were married and you were in different relationships and they didn't work. But do you have any advice on how to start that conversation? When to start that conversation? Do we need to set up a scenario or something like that so we can have that conversation?
Lisa, one of the things is it depends on what the communication is like in all the other aspects of your relationship. If you guys can't even communicate about who's cooking dishes or dinner, who's washing dishes, who's picking up the kids without fighting or getting ticked off at the other person because of their response, talking about something as massive as life change, your body changes, your intimacy needs or lack of, it's going to be a very difficult discussion, other than if you guys talk about everything and you guys talk about money and there's no fights, you talk about this and there's no fights. It's a different conversation. So if you don't talk about significant things with your partner, if it has always been this person makes the rules, this person adapts, you guys just kind of do your own thing, it's going to be way different. So I would encourage you to start with little discussions first. If it's not okay to say, hey, I want to talk about a totally different, relationship in the bedroom with you, or I need to talk about how you just annoy the crap out of me, even though you did nothing wrong. That's probably not going to be a really easy first conversation. So if you can start with something smaller, we tend to kind of grouch about who is going to take the dog out right before bed. Can we just sit down and try and work out a way we can get this along? If you can make some progress with little things, you become more confident and you actually start learning to listen to your partner a bit, because you may be coming in with a full agenda. This is what I need to get through menopause. This is what I need to get through her menopause. This is what I need to get to be satisfied. And your partner might not have even close to the same agenda. So if you come in small, it's one thing at a time. You work it. And then you see where that goes, because, I tell people, if you put somebody in the friend zone that is your person, you've made a choice. And how are you going to get back to wanting to be romantic with somebody that you either put in a friend zone, or you are so annoyed by that person, you're so angry? And I am not perfect. I should have listened to some of this stuff years and years ago, and I'm certain some of my relationships would have been different. But we only think about us when it comes to that intense time. until we realize how much it is to talk to that person and to think about getting those sparks back in different ways. Because, we kind of joked about, humans being mammals. We need intimacy. Okay. Intimacy does not necessarily mean a certain act or a certain way we used to do things, that it has to be the same. But if you can't talk to your partner about, what, can we just hold hands on the couch tonight? Can we just do this and see how my body's going to respond? If you don't feel comfortable saying that, your guys' walls are just going to kind of get up and then they're going to separate. And so starting small, you'll feel a little bit more comfort, like, oh my gosh, he didn't just yell at me. She didn't just grouch at me or totally blow me off. And if they are blowing you off, if they're not willing to have some minor conversations or the big stuff, that's when you bring in somebody. Some people wait way too long to go to marriage therapy. Well, guess what? You don't just need marriage therapy. There are things like romance coaching, there's relationship development, there are mindset, there are different ways to work on yourself or with your partner way before you get to the point of, I just got to get rid of this person, or I never want to be around this person again. But if you wait and you're so stuck in that mindset, it's going to be so much harder to even explain yourself to your partner without you being angry or not wanting to share fully because you don't want to be judged, or because you don't maybe want them to change your mind. It can be really tough if you've not already learned how to communicate with your partner about the littler things.
Yeah, I totally agree. And I think Annie said that quite a few episodes ago, that if you're waiting for menopause to start having conversations, it may be too late. That should be when you're courting, what you like, what you dislike, how you want to treat with certain things.
Yeah.
Gabe, can I get your perspective on that? How do you have conversations with your partner? Do you have any tips on something that she does that works for you all?
Well, I'll tell you this. We've both talked about this. If you're somebody who's opposed to change, you're in for a shock, because a change like this happens naturally. You have no choice. This is not, especially for a woman, even being the partner, this is going to happen to her. So if you're going to spend the rest of your life with an individual, you have to know that things will shift, things will change. Maybe the way that you guys were intimate before changes. The way that there's just so many things that are left open-ended, and you have to be able to adjust. And that's part of it, being, a spouse of somebody who not only has a mental health issue, but I know she's going to go through this as well. And there's so many changes that are going to be happening in her life, and they can happen on a dime, or they can be gradual. It doesn't matter. But what has to change, I'll tell you what you have to do. This is the one thing. You got to have a mindset that's adaptable. You have to have a mindset that's adaptable to any of this. Whether it's communicating who washes dishes, whether it's, hey, the date night's tonight, or the night, you have to be able to adapt. Because guess what? Whether you choose to or not, you're going to be forced into a position one of these days. And if you don't have the mindset to say, okay, I know how to deal with this, or I know how I can shift change, or I can just, communicate and have an open way to, express things with my partner, it's going to be very difficult. That's how the relationship's at, just like Jackie was talking about getting friend zoned. There's a reason, because somebody usually closes one off from the other because they don't know how to shift. I know, I've been through it, just like Jackie. Guess what? I've raised my hand. I did it. I was with somebody for 24 years. So the gradual change that shifted at the end of that relationship, I didn't pay attention to the signs too, and I didn't understand my mindset had to shift. So the lesson for me was, my foundation has to be solid, yes, but I also have to be able to move and shake, and when things shift, be able to shift with it. If this is what I want, if this is a personal choice, because the other one is not a choice. The other one's it's a natural occurrence that just happens. And as a husband, as a spouse, as somebody, as a support system, you have to be ready for that. because the way that you support that individual might have to shift and change as well, because they change. Just like you said, an example you were talking about, the husband is sleeping too much, whatever. Guess what? If he was not willing to say, you know what, darling, I love you so much, let me go to the doctor and find out if I can find something for my breathing, my snore, whatever it is, let me shift it. Because I value you much more than I do the way that your anger, those things happen. One day you might come home, she does not like mushrooms on her spaghetti. Okay, guess what? Change. Easy. You shift with it. You have to. And I think that's the thing that most men find very difficult, especially when they're also going through at that point at midlife and their own existential crisis about their life shifting as well, because then you start looking at the mirror of time and going, okay, I know the grains are going a lot faster now. Everything in your mind shifts. I just said, be prepared. Know that it comes. And guess what? Life usually has a way to work itself out a little bit more when you do. So that's what I have to share. Thank you, Lisa.
Thanks for that. Just want to say hi to some people that, if you see me looking down, is because I'm looking at the comments on my phone, because it's not showing up on StreamYard. So just want to say hi to Alvin, to Christy, to Mary Kay, Sean Michael is here, Kenny is here. Kenny, he said Gabe is taking some notes. So, I know he always has to say something.
He does.
Allison is here, Zara. Oh gosh, and if I missed out anybody, sorry, it's just really not showing up on our screen. Paulette, do you want to add anything on any? I know Crystal is backstage, or she might be backstage. I know she wanted to share something really quickly because she's at work. I just wanted to bring her on stage as well so she could share with us. But Paulette, please.
Yeah, I think that the thing that Gabe's mentioned, I'd already written down. I thought midlife crisis. You know, we talk about males going through a midlife crisis, and I worked in a trading environment, so the testosterone was pretty high, and you know the Ferraris were being purchased, and then the next one was buying the TVR, then the next one was buying the Porsche, and so it carried on, and you spotted this going on, and you know, and I would jokingly say, so when are you thinking about trading in the wife then? You know, you've upgraded the car, you're upgrading the wife, and they'd be like, ooh, you know, they hated it because I would confront them head on. And one of the guys said to me, you know, I'm going to be honest, he said, I had a dream last night that I was, while me and my wife were at it, I was thinking all the time about Demi Moore from Ghost. They'd watched the movie Ghost. And he said, you know, we had a great time. And I said, oh, great. I said, you know that she was too. He said, sorry? I said, all the time you thought you were shagging Demi Moore, she was Patrick Swayze. He said, what, you women do it too? And I looked at him and I was like, whoa, are you that dense? Really? And so you've got all this money, we earn all this cash, and we've got the brain cells of a monkey, right? So the question is this: at what point do these conversations have to be had for them both to sit down and say, why are you spending so much money on a car? Who are we trying to impress? We don't need that. We've got a family of 4. We can't fit in the back of that car. Why did you buy the sports car? You're going through a midlife crisis. The male's going to be like, ah! And then the female is like going through her own personal change, her own personal differences, and she's thinking, I'm getting older, I've got bits that are a bit more flabby than it used to be. Maybe I'm carrying more weight around my middle, which is quite normal in menopause. And all that's going on in her head. And she'll be thinking the same as I just said, when's he going to be upgrading his wife? And that's a conversation that needs to be had long before the car's purchased, you know? And I said, because I stand up for women all the time, I spoke to both my trading fellows that I knew extremely well, and I had a go at them and said, you need to be thinking about your wife here. I went on a training course with one of them, and he was like, his wife was carrying twins, and she was at home, and obviously sex was off the boundaries because she felt like an elephant. She was huge. The last thing she wanted to do was have sex. And we're away in Vegas at a conference, and the next thing I see him go off with someone, and I shouted out right across, Nigel, remember, you're married and you've got a wife at home with twins, pregnant with, right across the whole. I think everybody in the casino heard. Do you think I gave a monkey? Not the slightest. Because at the end of the day, I wanted to just hit his conscience enough to make him think about it. If he still went ahead and did what he did, that was on him. But you see, the problem I think is, and I please don't think I've got it in for men because I haven't. There's some of them are best friends. I'm even married to a really good one, but they don't always think with their brains. And when there's something being offered that is very easy, it's hard to say no. It's like the person who likes chocolate. If you put it everywhere, they're going to eat it all. If you like cake and you open a cake and you put a cake out, sometimes one slice isn't enough. And that is what that woman or women are doing when they're throwing themselves at these young men or older men. And in this case, he would be early 40s, late 30s. And I just feel that we need to just have the conversation with ourselves, not even together. We need to take ourselves in the corner and have a good old chat with ourselves about what we want, how we respect ourselves and our partner, how we respect the rules, the if you were married, what you actually said in church or in a registry office or wherever you said your vows. What did they mean to you? I'm not saying I have to remind you every day, but if you're thinking about going in that direction when your friends just shouted across the living floor at you and you're still going, then there's a problem. And I had to sit at the Christmas table with his wife, knowing what he'd done. And the point is this: yes, he needed sex. I get it. As we've said before, it's an animal instinct. But when your wife's at home carrying your twins, your two boys, I found that absolutely deplorable. In fact, I had the flight home from Vegas in silence because I wouldn't talk to him. And he bought me a Swarovski crystal to try and make me his friend again. And I was like, nope. And then it was, will you wear this Rolex watch for me because she left it on the bedside table? Nope. I want nothing to do with you. I can't even see you. You don't exist. When we get back in the office, I'll work with you. But as far as the friend zone, my friendship with you, no respect. Now, this happens not just in menopause, it happens all through marriages and all through life. But it goes up when we don't converse, even in your 30s or in your 40s, when you're starting out in these relationships. I really feel like the boundaries and the rules need to be pretty much set in stone. And then within that, you can be flexible with each other. But the boundaries of what's right and wrong are pretty straightforward. You don't spend the family finances on a massive, great, F off car just so that you can impress whoever, probably yourself mainly, but you also want the attention of others. We've got a bigger problem than just menopause. It's menopause and communication. It's menopause and relationships. And as you said, Lisa, menopause can start in your 30s. So these conversations need to start so much earlier than when we're right in the thick of it. because sometimes we don't even know our own mind. We don't even know our own decisions. I can honestly say there were days when I didn't know whether I was coming to work or going home. That's your brain fog was so bad. And people don't understand that until it happens to them. You know, when you go into a room and you're like, what am I here for? That was like an every 10-minute moment for me at one point. And I went to the hospital thinking I'd got some sort of brain tumor or something because it was that bad. And they said, oh, well, you've got fibromyalgia, but I think it's menopause or a menopausal issue. And I think that is so important that these conversations really do need to start almost as soon as you hit your 30s, so that you're having these. And if you're starting a relationship in your 40s, you have the conversation in your 40s, 50s, and 60s, whatever. But you do have to put it all out there on the table, along with the boundaries. On that note, I'll shut up.
Hold on. Hold on. One sec. Who's Brilliant Beam Media? Thanks for joining us. I'll say that. Queen Leah's here as well. So glad you're here. We need to talk, Queen Leah. I need to book out this phone call. Let's do it ASAP, please. Who's Hey Gabe, what's up? Yes, I imagine that's Gabe's wife, right?
No, that's me.
That's you. Okay, that's how YouTube. They're real people, right? Paulette, I've wanted a car since I was. I've worked hard to buy that car.
Going there. No, not having it.
I want that Bentley. If I've earned it, what's the problem? It's not. It's not an upgrade. I want the Bentley, and I've worked for it.
Listen, if it's not,
it's not a midlife thing. I've been writing it in my book for the last 10 years.
Get the car, but it's not It's not an extension of your willy. That's all I'm saying.
It's a car. It's a lovely car to drive.
That's fine.
It's a combination of a dream. The fact I can afford it when I'm in my 50s doesn't mean I have a midlife crisis. Doesn't mean I'm going to upgrade the wife. It just means I want my car. I'm just making a point.
The comment was not directed at you, Annie.
I know, but I'm saying it's easy to say you want the car because of, our problems. Mine is a dream come true. I'll buy the car.
Gabe, you were saying something?
I was just saying maybe it touched a nerve. He's like, it lit something up. He said, let me get on camera.
we have a saying in the Caribbean, not because it fall in your garden, you have to pick it up. It was not for you. We were talking in general. And now I forgot what I was gonna say. But yeah,
still gone.
So for women, sorry,
bring Crystal in.
Yeah, Annie, did you send the link to her?
No, I'm working it out. I'm doing it now.
Yeah. Okay, great. Yeah, because she wanted to share a quick story with us. But yeah, for most women of color, we start perimenopause in our 30s. So we need to, as you said, have that conversation with ourselves first. I love that point you made, Paulette. What do we really want? And especially when we're in midlife, maybe we have 15, 20 more years at work before we retire. What do we want the second act to look like? Is this the person we're meant to spend the rest of our life with? Because let's be honest, for some people, they're here to maybe share something with us, make us learn a lesson. They're not meant to stay with us for the rest of our lives. So maybe we got married to the wrong person and we realized that's 10 years down it, right? That's okay. We part separate ways on good terms, hopefully. But let's have an honest conversation with ourselves. What do we want ourselves to be seen as, to be heard as? What do we want for ourselves? If this is the partner we want to spend the rest of our lives with, then we need to have that conversation, as difficult as it may be. And Jackie referred to the different types of coaches. So maybe we don't have the right words. Maybe every time we try to have the conversation, we end up in an argument. And okay, so we need a third party Do we need a relationship coach? Do we need a menopause coach? Do we need our pastor to step in? Because we know we're dealing with different things. Maybe different people relate to us differently, and that's okay. The point is having the conversation for partners to understand, okay, what are we really going through? Because if every time he tries to be intimate, you push him away, he's going to start having his own thoughts. And as you said, we're all animals, we all have needs, but not having a conversation means we're not having a conversation in our head. Oh, he doesn't think I'm sexy. Oh, she doesn't want to be with me anymore. Maybe she has someone on the outside she's talking to that has her attention. Right? So instead of having all these things and we assume and everything like that, let's have the conversation. And I'm not saying it meaning that it's easy to do. It's definitely not. And then I think, especially when it deals with menopause, we need a proper menopause coach to bridge that gap so that the partner understands. Sometimes hearing it from their wife, it doesn't hit home. Hearing it from a third party, I usually find, and I don't just have conversations with the partner, I have it with their children as well. Hearing it from someone else, it usually hits home better. We use different words, we explain things differently so that they understand, okay, listen, I usually have my period 5 to 7 days. If I'm now having it 20 days out of the month, yes, okay, yes, I need to see a doctor, but understand that I'm not going to feel intimate, right? Because I'm probably feeling weak all the time from losing that amount of blood. Because I'm now thinking I can't wear certain things. I have to buy more things because I'm bleeding so often. I need more medication. Okay, now I have to go to the doctor and schedule tests, which means more money. And we don't have money for the children. How can I spend money on myself for these tests? All these things are starting to go on. And you're just thinking she's not feeling to be intimate with me. But having someone to bridge that gap, to have these conversations so that both parties really understand what's going on, how can we support, where do we need to turn to, I think that's very important. Annie, is Crystal backstage?
Yeah.
Okay.
I
She did
see.
ask that she wanted to share a quick story with us before she left her work. So I just wanted to give her a couple minutes before we continue. Hi,
Um,
Crystal.
Hello, all of my beautiful friends. I took a brief pause from all of social media, so good to see everybody. I missed you guys. Looking lovely as ever. So, Lisa, we've talked about the fact that I'm Perry. I am going through Perry right now. Well, I have the most amazing partner in the world. Going towards the comedy thing, he gave me a very affectionate nickname, is Baby Beto, because I'm always cold now. So he wraps me up in a blanket burrito. And I think it's adorable. It sounds silly, but he knows that I'm stressed out. I was given the privilege of hosting my job's Valentine's event. It was my idea of how to do it. We're under new ownership. We're trying to do a rebrand, get the customers to come back in because the old owner basically ran the place into the ground. And I'm very overwhelmed because the reservations were up to 60 people. And I'm the one cooking and everything. Well, he had ordered my Valentine's present. And knowing how stressed I am, number one, he is offered to come and work the event with me, even though he won't be getting paid to help. But he also, knowing how much I love sea turtles, you all know how much, he got me a beautiful sea turtle necklace for Valentine's Day. Knowing how stressed out I am in a good way, he gave it to me early to make me smile and relax. And as you were talking about how important it is for our partners to be supportive, you know, and recognize all of that, to me, that was him doing that. He's even gotten me supplements to help with the extreme cramps and the mood swings. He's looked into them and brought them to me and said, would this help? Do you think this will work? He is the most amazing supportive partner. And I say this teasingly, but I don't deserve him, but I'm never letting him go. you know, I know I deserve happiness. I'm not saying that, but it's just very strange considering what I went through before to have such an amazing, loving partner You know, he saw what I went through. We were friends for 3 years beforehand. Gabe, you understand what I'm talking about because of Yvette. You know, you're the same way with her, and I love you so much. You know, so he's so attentive. And yet, I'm gonna ask you, Paulette, what do you get somebody that doesn't want anything except for you to be happy as a Valentine's present? As a as a
Shall I
man.
tell you what I would give him? I would give him a card, and in that card would be a romantic evening in.
I thought about making him a coupon book.
Yeah, a romantic. I'm winking. A
Oh yeah.
romantic
Oh
evening
no, he's
in,
getting
right?
that tonight. He's getting one of those
Well,
tonight.
you give him a voucher that he can cash in at any time, and that would be hilarious, and he'd find that immensely amusing. And you just say, you know, the point is you love each other anyway. But if you give him something like a token of your love that he can cash in, a romantic evening in, I'll cook the dinner, I'll do this, and then we'll have happy time.
I think you would rather get a coupon that said 24 hours unplugged.
There
because
you go then.
I'm always like, I like to listen to podcasts and things like that, and I love him to death, but a lot of the things we have a lot of interests, but like a lot of things he wants to watch on YouTube, I'm like, oh God. Like, I'm not a big fail army kind of person. It's not my kind of humor. I don't like seeing people get hurt. You know, that kind of, like, it's not me. So he'll be watching it and I'll start listening to one of my podcasts or something. And he'll be like, but baby, look, but baby. And I'm like, ah. You know, I think doing like a little coupon book, that is a good idea. I gave one to him 2 Christmases ago, but thank you. I just wanted to share that, you know, because it was
Say
perfect
you
timing.
get everything you deserve in life, okay? For all the negativity and everything you've been through, you've got somebody who you deserve, and he deserves you. So just consider yourself one of the lucky ones, okay?
I
You
really
had to
do.
go
That's
to hell to get him. You got him in the end, okay? So you won. You got the jackpot.
I really did. And he's 7 years younger than me. So, hey, I really did. I see Jackie
Wow.
smiling.
I was actually going to suggest the coupon book, and I know usually when people see that, they think, oh, it's going to be about sex or a massage. But I've seen people do, I will wear your favorite football team's jersey out in public, because you know that's going to mean something to him. And he knows, okay, you're not into football, but you're making that effort for him.
No, but I get what you mean. That's not his kind of thing, but it would be like one night of your choice of all shows.
Yes. So
You kind
something
of,
that
Or
really would mean
yeah, you
something
know.
to him.
or you could make one to say 20% off with the mortgage payment this week. I mean this month. I got you.
We
I'll
actually
take one of those.
we lived with his parents because they're helping us get out of debt. But I get that. There's a concert that we both really want to go to, and I think I'm going to surprise him with tickets. Ava Under Fire, everybody knows how much I love them, but they're touring with Finger Death Punch, which is Matt's favorite band. And
Awesome.
what I'm thinking is getting us box seats for him and his sister and brother-in-law, because they love him too. And Caleb, my newest nephew, will be born March 30th. But Caleb will be 6 months old because it's in October. So I'm thinking about getting him special tickets for that as our anniversary and Valentine's, because but thank you for the opinions and or ideas. I just had really wanted to share, you know, a positive, uplifting Valentine's story to show everybody, you know, the good ones are out there. We have two on stage, you know.
Yeah.
Gabe's an amazing person. Everybody knows I love Annie. I love the turtle with all my dreams.
Oh, see, see.
Yes, I love that. Yeah, and what's funny is it's his birthstone in the big one, and Mackenzie's in the one daughter, but they didn't have one with a ruby for Lexi's birthstone, so he had it as diamond. You know what girl doesn't like diamonds?
Yeah, you
And
have a keeper for sure.
well, what's funny is I go, hey, babe, I kind of want a new necklace for Valentine's because I know if I said, hey, babe, I want something shiny, he'd give me a ball of tinfoil as a joke. He's always joking and teasing and playing. So the comedy thing, being able to laugh and be supportive, we're constantly teasing and joking. But when I do say, hey, that's not a topic, we do respect each other's boundaries because everybody has to admit we're going to cross boundaries without knowing. We're going to offend our partner about stuff that we joke about. And if you don't say something, and they keep doing it and it bothers you, that's on you, not them. Because if you don't tell them, how can they know not to respect it?
Exactly.
I'm just lucky that it may take a reminder or two, but he usually respects that boundary. So,
Thank you so much for coming and sharing your story and being patient with us to share your story. Please come back. We always love you on the show.
all right. Well, I love you guys. I actually got a lock up anyway. I closed 7 minutes ago. Thank you for letting me share. Happy Valentine's, everybody. Big kisses.
Love you,
Have a
Crystal.
good one.
Take care.
Bye.
So piggybacking off of what Crystal shared, and I thought that gift was so sweet, knowing that she was stressed out. How do you all deal with, okay, I'm stressed out. What can my partner do for me? What can they say? What should they not say when I'm stressed out? So let me pass it to Gabe first and then Jackie. Please jump in after.
Okay. Well, there's a lot that I tried. So this is a line that I have to tread a lot. Because if you guys don't know, that my wife has bipolar disorder, and at times, we have to deal with certain situations that do arise, and there are times that I know that I have to be able to alleviate a lot of the stress, a lot of the things that might be going on in her world. So a lot of the times it's me, first of all, just communicating with her, to get understanding of what's going on, and, what are you thinking? How are you feeling? What are, just to open the channel so we can at least figure out, is there any kind of immediate attention that needs to be done to this right now? Is there something that we can solve right this moment? Is it something that has been building long term? So what I try to do is open communication first, and then I try to always just stay very proactive in a lot of the things that I know that kind of can cause her to not feel that stress, to interrupt her safety, the way that she enjoys it. And for me, that's to me it's small things like, hey, I can do the laundry, don't worry about it, I got that. I can cook tonight, don't worry about that, I'll take care of the dishes. What do you need done? You need me to run a store? I mean, I try to do the things that I possibly can to relieve as much stress as possible, because I know what it's like to be in the situation myself, to be stressed out. So I think it's understanding what it could be. Hey, do we need to go to bed tonight? Let's go to bed early tonight. Let's turn off the lights. Let's get some candles. Let's light some incense, whatever you need. You need a bath? Let's get a hot bath. You need a hot shower? Let's do the things that will, of course, release the oxytocin, the serotonin, get those things to bring down. We don't want to push that cortisol levels up. Nope. Let's cut all that stuff down as much as we possibly can to get to a point of saying, okay, it's manageable. It's okay. We'll be okay. We need to lay together. Do we need to hug? We need to pray together, whatever it is. So I go through the steps to make sure that I can do as much as I possibly can to make her feel comforted. And it's vice versa. That's a two-way street there. There's a lot of things that she does for me. And trust me, I am someone who is aware and attentive to those things. So I see that when she's putting in the effort to do that for me. And of course, I love her, so I don't. No one needs to ask me, but I want to be reciprocal. I want to be respecting of that. I want to give her the same latitude that she's offering to me. So I try to do these things because the way that I see it, she is my partner. And this is a woman I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. So why wouldn't I do the things that I need to do to make sure she doesn't feel, as the weight of the world is on her shoulder, just on her shoulders. You got a partner. You don't have to carry that burden alone anymore. You got somebody here that's here to actually want to help you do that. Because I've been on that island, and believe me, it sucks. It's a lot to have to deal with. So I would never want to put anybody in that situation ever again, especially the woman that I love. So yes, I try to do those things for her. So thank you. And then as far as the coupon, I want her to, she can do a buy one, get one. She can flash me a boob, and then I turn in a coupon, get to see the other one, buy one, get one free. Awesome.
I was waiting for you to say something funny because I know I've been on your shows. I was waiting for it. But I love that you also shared she reciprocates. And I know the conversation is about menopause, but all women go through menopause. Some men do go through andropause, male menopause. But men are also stressed. Men also have bouts of anxiety and depression, the same thing we go through. So there are times that we will need to be supportive of them. So I love that you have that relationship where you know when something is wrong, you know the questions that need to be asked because you are paying attention. So I love that. Jackie, can I get your thoughts as well?
Yeah, I loved Gabe's share. I love that, he wants to be attentive and do things. And it's also really important for partners to understand that we both have stress differently. It's not necessarily you have more stress than me or you have different stress because of your type of job or because of your physical or mental lifestyle and issues that are going on. It's about the way we perceive it. It's about the way we understand it, the way our coping skills are already in place or not in place. If we were stressed and we used to always use a certain kind of substance or overeat or scream at somebody or throw something, and we've made significant progress in changing that, if our partner stresses us out or if life stresses are out and our partner doesn't give us the chance to let us figure out how to cope ourselves, if they're like, you got to do this, or here I can help you, or, oh, I don't even want to talk to you, you're being so crazy or something like that, that's kind of the kiss of death, So it's actually, again, talking with your partner before that stress happens. There are times of the month that women may have their menstrual cycle that gives them all kinds of extra hormone issues. For me, I have times of the month where I have super important reports due, or I have staff that call in sick and then I don't get a vacation day or something like that. And if that's going to stress me out more, if I know it's coming, talking about that before it happens. Today's going to be a rough one. I know this week has a lot more stress inside. There's a lot of things going on. Are you willing to let me text you if it's a bad day and just let me have a nap by myself? Don't do anything to me. Don't talk to me. Don't yell at me. Is it okay to do that? That's okay. Yes, it is. But is your partner going to be receptive to that? Or are they going to feel like you're pushing them away if you say, hey, I do need alone time when I'm stressing out like this because my brain needs to remind myself that I'm okay and I don't have to go back to those old coping mechanisms. So sometimes helping too much can actually be a barrier. So you've got to use your words. You know what? I'm super stressed today. And today I really need a hug. Later tonight, I might get super stressed again. And if you touch me, I might want to swing at you because I'm so overstimulated and I feel like I've got to figure it out on my own. So communication is key. If you can talk about how to vibe with each other during those extremely difficult times before they get too difficult, you have a better chance of winning through that. Also, some of us, I think it's more women, but not necessarily. We tend to think our partners need to be mind readers and that they know how to understand every one of our social cues and our nonverbal movements that say, I need a hug right now, or please bring me chocolate, or please just do the dishes, or please let me take a nap. And they don't. And they may not be even noticing that your higher energy is not in a calm state because they're focused on what was going on, or they were excited to come tell you something. And then you come in with World War III, like, did you know I was so mad, or this happened to me? So trying to figure out how to work through that when you guys aren't both at super high levels. You're going to see me go right to the kitchen and wash dishes if I'm super angry after work, because that just kind of lets me get some energy out. Or if I turn on this kind of music, if I'm listening to Five Finger Death Punch, like Crystal was talking about, you better know to just not talk to me for a few minutes. Let me calm down with some loud music. But if I'm listening to this kind of music, come dance with me, come cuddle with me. That's a good thing. But they're not going to know that unless you use your words. And if it's hard to use those words, or if you haven't started, guys, I think almost every one of us have one of these. Before you walk in the door, I'm having a really rough day. Work was crappy. I had somebody just cut me off on the highway. I'm going to sit in the car for 2 extra minutes. Or, hey, I'm taking the train home and everybody is just screaming and they won't stop letting their kids just yell in my ear. I might need a little more time. Can you have a glass of wine? Can you have a cup of coffee waiting for me? Use words before you walk in the door, because some of us think that they're going to just know what we need walking in the door. And that's usually kind of like, that's the rough time. So if you can give them a little pre-up, it can help as well. So everybody is different though. And Lisa, what I might think works for me when I'm stressed may not work for you at all. And Gabe might need something a little different than his wife needs. But yeah, if they talk about it, then they don't have those false expectations or think that they're not lifting their partner up during their rough times because they don't know what to do. So we've got to use our words, and we're all grown up enough that we should be able to feel comfortable using our words with our humans that we love.
Yeah, I think that's an important point. I had a client who I had to tell her to use her words because she'd come and sit next to her partner and sigh. And that sigh could mean she's hungry, she needs something, she's upset, she doesn't like the TV show you're looking at. I'm like, how is he supposed to figure out what you mean? And she's like, I've lived with him long enough, he should know. I was like, no, that's not how this works. So I'm glad you said that. Um, Gabe, was that message for me? Yeah, sure, that's not a problem. And if she's able to join us, that'll be great. But if not, that's okay too. Right?
Lisa, can I just
Yes, please. I
tell a
was not
story?
about to
Because I
pass
think
the mic to you.
it's brilliant. I'm just going to tell you a very quick story because I think there's never an age when it isn't okay to talk about this. So, my son's at uni and his second year, and he's quite frightened of women. He's quite shy around women. He's an extrovert here. He's cocky, he's sarcastic, but he's autistic. So he will be one thing here and one thing there. So at university, he's quite quiet. He's quite keeps himself to himself. He interacts and joins in, but is not like going to be the leader. Anyway, one of the girls, Maria, was in the kitchen, and she was smashing and banging and crashing. And Ben was like, I don't know what to say. I don't know what to do. So he made a toasted sandwich very quickly, and he cleared up after himself because he didn't want to get into any trouble. And so his sandwich was getting cold because he was cleaning up so he couldn't get into any trouble. And then as he went to just get a bit of tea towel, I think it was the kitchen where he went to reach, just wet it a bit. She sort of looked at him and he was like, oh, and then he sort of got the wet his, cleared his mess up, and then came upstairs and he phoned me. Maria is banging and crashing around in the kitchen, he said, and I said, is everything okay? And she said, no, I've got my fucking period. And he went, I didn't know what to say. So I said, oh, that was it. That was his response was, oh. Now he was 19 and a half. He'd not really had this conversation with anyone but me, or he'd never even had the conversation with me apart from when I was very ill. I hysterectomy at 40, 42, 43. So we had to have that conversation with him when he was quite young. But the point is, he said, what do I do? And I said, where are you going? So I'm going to Tesco's. And I said, well, if you're going to Tesco's, when you're there, get a big bar of dairy milk chocolate. Everybody likes dairy milk. No one turns down dairy milk. So get a big bar of Cadbury's dairy milk chocolate. He said, why? I said, trust me. When you get back to the flat, go and knock on Maria's door and just hand it over and walk away. You haven't got to say anything, just hand over the chocolate and walk away. Anyway, he said, "Are you sure?" I said, "I'm sure." He said, "Okay, I'll do it." So he did it. But as he was walking away, because he was on the ground floor, she was on the top floor, as he was walking her halfway down the stairs, she shouted out, "Thanks, Ben, that's really thoughtful of you." And he said, "I have to be honest, it was my mum's suggestion." So she said, "You discussed it with your mum?" And he was like, "Yeah, I wasn't sure what to do to make it better." Now, I think that's the carry forward. He will always carry that message forward that sometimes chocolate's the answer. It's not always the answer, but sometimes chocolate's the answer. And the way I've tried to explain life to Ben, because Charles and I have, blah, and then it all blows over. We won't have an argument for a year, and then we'll have like three on the trot, and they'll all be, over something and nothing. We've got a rental that we're doing at the moment. It's been a real nightmare, and it's taken so much effort and time. We're both exhausted. That's why we're on a short fuse. We're not on a short fuse with each other. We're on a short fuse with the situation. But we're grown up enough and old enough and been together long enough that we communicate. So we know that. But other people would just be going at each other, and then it could all end up in a really difficult situation. Whereas we just say, as soon as we get that place finished and rented out, the better, and it was finished yesterday. The lady came around, valued the rental today, and she's going to go over the photographs, and hopefully that's the end of that for me. I'm not been well enough to really be doing what I've been doing. I've got a wonky hip. I've got all kinds of other issues, and there I am cleaning and painting front doors. Who'd have believed it? But anyway, but there were two other things that I wrote down that I thought you, Lisa, would like this. I think that there's a lot of talk of layoffs. There's a lot of talk of America being at each other's throat, different parts of America. So you've got layoffs, you've got people with different political opinions and agendas, not genders, but agendas. I think that adds to the stress of everything that's going on in life anyway. Then on top of that, you've got to say to yourself, to me, life is like a dance. A relationship is like a dance, yeah? If you've been through it all before and you know the moves, you know what to do. But if you haven't, you've got to learn the moves, and you have to know where to put your foot, and otherwise you're going to tread on each other's toes. So life is like a dance, and you have to learn how to dance together. And I think that menopause is like you've learnt the waltz or you've learnt a slow dance, and suddenly you're thrown in at the deep end and it's a jive, and you haven't got a freaking clue how to do that, right? And that's the problem. We're trying to do one dance because we've learnt that, and now we've got all these changes that we're not equipped for. So I think the key for me is understanding that the stress of life, the stress of work, the stress of layoffs, the stress of what's going on politically and with everything else. I'll be careful what I say because there's little people. But there's lots of different stresses going on at the moment. And you're bringing that home on top of what you're dealing with personally. And that does have an effect. It can't not. So that might change your dance. And if you think about it as a dance, that you've mastered the waltz and now you're trying to do a jive and you don't know which way the other one's going or which partner's doing what at what time. And that's something that you can really visualize as a cue as to why it goes wrong. Make sense?
And it's not that you have to learn a different dance. You can't fit into the dress anymore. You can't walk in the heels anymore because it's too painful. My hair looks a mess, so I don't feel comfortable in my body. My partner, I don't really feel comfortable with him. I can't talk to him anymore. And yes, all of these things that bombard us from social media, the news, whether we've been laid off, we need to find a different job or a second income to manage, it can be a lot. And then on top of that, to say, okay, let's be intimate. Let's have, that session between us in privacy. It can be a lot. I just want to say hi to Kimberly, because comments are still not showing up. Kimberly and Dr. Marcia, hi, welcome. And welcome to the second half of Gabe and Yvette. Yvette, welcome. I'm so happy that you decided to jump on. I know you had a long commute home and probably a long day. Just wanted to get your 2 cents on how your relationship, how you manage that relationship, because Gabe did say you were going through perimenopause. You had some other health issues as well. But how I see your show, and y'all are just, hashtag relationship goals. Y'all are just so lovely together, communicate well. Is that what happens off screen as well?
Oh yeah.
No, I just sit here quiet. I talk too much.
Just wanted to get your take on, okay, you're going through your health issues. How do you communicate that to him? And what are some of the things you say, don't say? Is there a time you do it so that our listeners could understand, okay, if we're in a relationship, what does that look like in real life?
Anytime I feel any kind of emotion that feels off or good or whatever, like we keep a conversation going every day. So whatever's in my mind, like it comes out, and we make time to have those talks. He comes and actually visits me at work twice a week. So his job takes him into the same area where I work. And so on my lunch break, he comes up to see me and we go for a walk. And so it's close to 30 minutes. And then we'll just talk about anything that's going on in our minds. And then after work, once the little one's asleep, we'll have some time to talk and, have grown up talk then. And then our kids, whenever they are,
Yes.
when they're occupied with each other, or when my daughter's at her dad's house, then we have opportunities to talk.
Yes. But she communicates. She communicates very well. What she's feeling, how she's feeling. Even health wise, when something feels off, she will make mention. She's very good at this because she's a teacher, so she has to learn how to communicate. So she communicates it very well. And like she was saying, we have a moment where we talk about these things. We air these things out. We share these things because it's important to know. I mean, for example, your body's hurting in some particular way, or just, there are times like she's having a heavy period and it sucks. And she lets me know. And because, those are things that, you ladies have to deal with that we don't quite understand. So whenever you tell us and you let us know, hey, look, this, I'm not feeling this right now, or I'm extremely lazy right now, or I don't, whatever that is. At that point, I understand. I'm like, no, you don't have to go any further, any more into detail, because, what you're feeling, it's different, and I might not ever understand it, but I can do what I can to help it.
To listen.
Yeah, just to listen. I was telling this was years ago, but I told one of the guys when they were talking about, a female's menstrual cycle, And I said, well, just imagine you getting stabbed once a month. They're going to say, we're going to stab you. And guess what? You're going to bleed for 7 days. And you tell me how great you're going to feel. How well are you going to handle emotion? How well are you going to feel everything, stress and everything going on? They do this. It's not easy. I know I'm raising 3 daughters. And so I do have to come from a place of understanding and, be sympathetic because, like I said, they're different. I can only give you the perspective of a male, and I could never say that I have the understanding of what it's like to be a woman, nor will I ever try to wear that hat.
Yeah, and it's not just stabbed once, stabbed repeatedly for 5 or 7 days. Yeah, Oh, but I love that. Did you all have that communication set up because of past relationships? Is that something you all decided to do based on past experience?
I think a lot of past experience influenced how we both communicate with each other, because I always, at least in like previous relationships, I would try to be open in the beginning. And I felt like I was shut down a lot in different areas where I didn't feel emotionally safe to discuss certain things. And so I shut down. So that was my defense mechanism, is I'm just not going to even tell you how I feel, because obviously it doesn't matter to you and you don't care about it. So I went into my new relationship with Gabe, not trying to repeat the same habits that I had before, but understanding that it was a battle in my mind to be able to move past those walls that I had put up. So, it took me, and we talked about this on my show, like it took a little while for me to gain the courage enough to speak up the first time I needed to about how I felt. And, I even cried about it. I had to rehearse it. Like it was hard. But I did it. And the feedback I got from Gabe was so positive that it made me feel safe. And so since then, it's so easy. Like anything pretty much that goes across my mind, like I can't wait to tell him about it. Or in the moment, something comes across my mind and I tell him. Even the like weirdest thoughts that I have, I'm like, hey, I just thought this weird thought randomly. I don't even know why. And I tell him, and he doesn't judge me or make me feel bad for anything that I share with him. And so he's always open to listen and to give me really positive feedback about stuff. So it's just easy. It is to communicate with him.
I love that. And he was saying, people may say, okay, well, he sounds like the perfect man.
No.
And I think
no one's perfect. He's perfect for me.
Yeah. And he was saying something earlier, just being open and being able to adapt, I think, and have that conversation, open to having a conversation, I think is so important. You're not going to get it right every time. You're probably going to have arguments, but being open to that conversation is so important. Jackie, I know you talk a lot about, and you have this series on TikTok about, how do we date, how do we find the right partner? Coming off of what they just said, what sort of advice are you giving women now how to find that quote unquote right partner?
So as I get older, I do this for myself and encourage other people. When you start dating somebody, it's different if you're going in just to find a companion, somebody to hang out with, go out to dinner with once in a while. If you are dating to look for a relationship, I want you to self-reflect. Can you imagine this person pushing you around in a wheelchair if your life changes and your body shuts down? If you can't, if you think they're going to be too caught up in themselves, this is not relationship material. Or if you cannot envision yourself pushing their ass around, why continue into a relationship? You got to think about the things that change. We don't know. We're talking about menopause could start between 30 and 50, the end of the 50s. Who knows what time it's going to hit you? But an accident can happen anytime. A different medical issue can happen anytime. How are you going to respond? My very best friend, her husband had a massive brain aneurysm within 3 years into their marriage. I mean, they've been married not quite 30 years. He has been in a chair his whole life, almost the entirety of their marriage, not his entire life, but entirety of their marriage for the most part. That's not something everybody's willing to do, especially when you're dating in your older years. You are sometimes really independent. You are sometimes set in your ways. You expect certain things. And if you just go, okay, we're getting into this relationship and you better do everything I want you to do. And that's what I love about Gabe and Yvette. You guys are talking from the second you guys started this dating thing, because you guys said you were on my show a couple of weeks ago and she said, I knew he was going to marry me. You hadn't even met him in person yet. Now that is a quality that some people are just settling. I don't want to be alone. I don't want to be, I believe Leslie posted some stats in the chat when I was trying to read things. And she was talking about a lot of divorces happen either at the beginning or during menopause, and women have to deal with that by themselves. If you can conquer physical health issues on your own, and then somebody comes into your life, they better be able to step up. And if you can't talk to them about your needs, your expectations, and you just think they're going to be okay, it's going to change if something major happens. And I just can't thank you guys enough for being an example of communication. Regardless of all the things that are thrown at both of you, you guys are able to still communicate and focus on your relationship, because so many people, nope, I got to go deal with the kids right now. My job's calling. Yes, those are important, super important things. But to carve out time, okay, we need to talk about this, babe, but it's just, we can't do it right now. And then you don't forget about it. You don't, okay, we don't want to deal with that now, so we're going to move on. So, talking about stuff and dating at an older age is different than when you just start dating in high school, college, after maybe you've only been married a year and then you get a divorce and you start dating again in your early 20s or something. It is a different situation. And, Crystal mentioned the age difference between her and her partner. And there are a lot of much younger men that really like dating older women these days. I don't think that was quite a thing back then. They need to know what they're getting into. If this is something that's going to be legit and not just a hookup, not just we'll go out once or we'll do something if nobody else is available. If you actually want to transform something into a relationship, you have to have a whole different mindset when you're talking about somebody that is 10 years plus or minus in a different, you grow up differently, but you also have physical needs and desires and changes that go on that they may not have a clue of. So I like to talk, as you can tell, and I'm sorry I keep going on, Lisa, but it's important that you communicate so early. And if you are scared to talk about sex is going to look different when we're older, my body might have changes during menopause, if you're not able to use those words with a partner, but yet you're willing to let them touch your body without clothes on, what the hell? Where are your priorities? So that's as far as I'm going to go in the naughty talk area, but it's important to focus on,
No, I think that is such a good point. If this person is not willing to stick with you, if something, God forbid, happens, then you're with the wrong person, because, it's for richer, poorer, sickness and in health. Those things have to be a real conversation, especially if you're dating, as you said, in the older years. Because just being in menopause puts us at a higher risk for heart disease, and it shoots up higher than a man's risk. Puts us at risk for diabetes, puts us at risk for osteoporosis, certain cancers, which means even the conversations on how are we planning retirement, how are we planning for our health goals and the doctor visits, and where are we allocating funds towards. All of those conversations have to come in once we're older. So if this is the time we're now trying to get into a relationship, those are some of the questions we need to ask our partner. And if they're not willing to have that conversation, they're not open to it, then, as you said, what are we doing? And I love that, I look at Paulette and her partner, and I mean, if you want to talk about relationship goals and a partner sticking by you, Charles needs an award. Because, listen, I have a lot of health issues myself, so I relate to what Paulette is going through. But Charles has been there through thick and thin. And listen, that is the kind of partner I want, right? I don't need him to be oh so good looking and rich. No, that partner that sticks by you no matter what. That is what we're talking about. Paulette, you want to add anything? I know it's coming to
Yeah,
what it's
I
probably past
just
12, but
very, yeah, we'll all praise Charles. We'll love that. I think that, and just at that point, he'll get to hear it as well because my ear's gone. I think that the key with anything like this is that you never know what's coming around the corner. And, you know, I never knew that within a very short period of time of us finding out we were pregnant for the first time, we weren't. Then we were pregnant with twins. Then we lost one. We went through so much. So within the first 3-4 years of our marriage, that I don't think many people could get through if we weren't the people that we are. The openness, the honesty, the absolute look, I don't think I can do this. And I was 39 eventually when I got pregnant with Ben. And I just started a company. I'd just taken out a huge amount of money out of my property that I already owned and put it into an investment as a founder. And I was just starting this new company. And I said the other day to somebody, the tax man knocked on my door on Monday as I came out of hospital on the Sunday, having had a cesarean to have Ben, who was, because he was a twin, had gone breech and then extended breech because he was just having like somersaults and having the best time ever. And I'd gone through an awful lot. I'm borderline haemophiliac, so I'm a real bleeder, as they say. And yet I still got 5 blood clots in COVID. I have had a brain tumor. I have been through 18 back procedures. I've got a spinal cord stimulator. Every single operation I have had, my husband has been the one waiting outside the room, waiting to find out how I am or what's happened. It got to the stage where when Ben first started driving, if the gates are usually locked, and if the gates were unlocked, he immediately assumed there'd been an ambulance. And to me, that's a hell of a thing that I did to my son. And the guilt I have for that is huge. But he always says, don't be daft, Mum, you're still here. Huh? I'm good, you know? He said, I wouldn't be so good if you weren't. So let's just be happy, you know? But I'm always apologizing. I'm so sorry that this has happened. I'm so sorry for that's happened. And Annie will tell you that you couldn't meet a more lovely, hospitable, caring, magnificent man on this planet. He handled all of the autism with Ben and everything we had to go through with the bullying and the horrendous situations that ended up with me deciding to call it a day with work so that I could be there for Ben. You don't give up a 6-figure salary without a serious conversation. And the point that I'm trying to make is every step along the way, we have had that conversation. Every day that I came out of the hospital, he was there waiting. When I couldn't get to him during COVID and they said I might not make it, I was like, my phone's dead. I need to speak to my husband. At least let me phone my husband and my child. If I was going to say goodbye, at least let me say goodbye, you know? And eventually one of the really sweet junior doctors took my phone and charged it for me. And then within a week I was home and everything was normal. All right, I had oxygen ventilators and machines and whatever, but we were at home. We were looking after us at home. My safe place is my home. So as soon as I can get back, out of the hospital, give me the drugs, give me everything I need, I'll deal with it. Charles and I will work it out, you know. And if I'm a little bit doolally because I'm out of my face on diazepam because of pain, then, you know, he manages the drugs too. Not because I would overdose, but because I don't know, remember I've taken them. I said, I had a painkiller. And he's like, look how you're slurring your words. Oh, yeah. Yeah, it might be that. And then I just laugh and we just got on with it. You have to have a partner in life who sees past everything that can happen to you and love you through it. And, you know, I'm 5 years older than Charles, so I got a toy boy too. And I always think he got the rough end of the stick. But I think to myself, no, when I'm good, I'm bloody good. You know, when I'm on form, he's a really lucky guy. It's just there are days when he's not so lucky. And as long as the unlucky days and the good days, the bad days all match up, we come through it, you know? And I'd like to say that we're both in a place now where we're happy with our lives. And I think we are. We're both retired. I'm 61, he's 55, 56 coming up. So we're very lucky to be able to retire at those ages. When he went through it, what I would call his midlife crisis, I was still the main breadwinner. But he said to me, I want to teach. I want to teach maths. I want to go back. I want to do something to give back. He was an accountant. He was absolutely sick and tired of running a department of 40 women when actually what he wanted to do was play with numbers. And so he went back and he retrained to be a maths teacher. And they all couldn't wait to get their hands on him. He's a Cambridge graduate in maths and economics. So you can imagine everybody was like, yay, NQT, come and be a teacher. Yeah, we want you. And he retrained to be a maths teacher. He went from 72,000 a year to 12. That was his training year. But we budgeted and we never ever discussed whose money was what. The pot is the pot. And you take from the pot what you need. And nobody ever questions it. And my addiction to shopping, yeah, that needs to be curbed. I have got an issue. I know it's a problem. If 4 parcels a day don't arrive, I feel like I've been left out, you know. But hey, I nearly died. That's my answer to everything. I nearly died, you know. Ooh, you can't have a girl who nearly died, you know. Come on. Let a girl have her parcels, you know. But the point I'm trying to make is those conversations have to be had, that you've gone through hell with me and I'm sorry, but hey, let me put some cream on your wrinkles. You know, that's my little bit of care for you. I'll put some of my posh, you know, Charlotte Tilbury cream on your wrinkles, so you won't be so looking so old, dear, because I'm looking so much younger than you these days. And it's no wonder he looks older than me now because of what I've put him through. Whereas all I've done is sucked up drugs, you know, and had operations. I'm the lucky one. And I get to spend money, which is great because, you know, that's a great life. So, you know, I think there is ups and downs and we're making light of it. He's been to hell. I'm not going to lie. During COVID, especially, when that ambulance left the gate, when I had my twisted gut, when they told him it wasn't, when they told us only in September last year, sorry, I apologize, in June last year, that I had pancreatitis and possibly cancer of the pancreas, that was like, whoa, where'd you go with that one? There's no coming back. And the man said, but you haven't done all the tests yet. When you've done all the tests, you come back and talk to us. He didn't go, oh my God, what are we going to do? He was like, we'll wait on the tests. We'll wait on the this. We'll wait on the that. And we waited, and it was sepsis, and we did this and we did that, and they operated and they did all these other things and took all bits and pieces away and whatever. And I'm dealing with the you just deal with it, because life's too important not to. I want to be here, so I'm going to fight for every day. But having somebody by my side who loves me and who will walk that walk with me, and that's worth everything. I'd give up all my parcels for it, maybe. But you know, the point is, he is the person who said I will, and I do. And I remind him of that. I've got a contract, you see, that says that he has to put up with me. And he's looked after you when you've come to my house. He's treated you like you're, like, you know, one of his own. You know, he'll cook for people when they come. He treats them like, you know, everybody's welcome. No, he's just the most wonderful human being on the planet. And how I managed to pick him, I don't know. Because he wasn't my normal type. You know, I used to go for the bad boys, and they were no good. The bad boys always got me into trouble. And then I met a good boy, and I thought, nah, it's never going to work. And it worked. And I found him through work. He was part of a deal I did. I did a multi-million-pound deal and got him as like a double bonus, you know. But the point is, we've managed to make it work. And I say that we dance together. And what I mean by that is we just ebb and flow, and it works. And I know, I think Charles has never been in hospital in nearly 30 years. Never been in hospital. And I think he said within the first like 4 years of our marriage, he'd spent like, you know, 20 nights worrying about me being in hospital. And it was like, how do you live with that? How do you cope with that? And you know what? You just do. And I think that's what we're talking about here. Finding your person who just will and just does. And it's a lovely... And Jackie, when you're dating and those conversations come up, you absolutely have to say, you know, mentally, is this guy going to be able to push you in a wheelchair, or is he going to be too busy doing the fonts, you know? Because if he's too busy doing this, he can't be holding on to your wheelchair, you know? And if you're going to be fighting over the mirror, is he really your guy? You know, he might be your guy for the night, but it's not your guy for life.
Not for life. Oh my gosh. See, this is why we all love Charles. So the show we've gone over, but that's okay, because I just love the conversation, and I'm so happy that you all chose to come on this show. I just feel so blessed. So what I'll do, I just want to get one short piece of advice, one takeaway that you think people, especially women going through menopause, whether they're listening live or listening on the replay, what's one thing you want to leave them with? Jackie, I'll start with you.
I would say love yourself. You know, yes, you're going through changes. Your brain is going to get a little confused. You're going to hurt in different places, but love this. This is part of your journey. You were the lucky one that got to live this long to have this experience. So find joy. And if the people you're surrounding yourself with, that means a partner, that means people in your friends group, maybe in your family, if they are not supporting you and giving you some joy during especially a tougher time, it's okay to say goodbye. It's okay to walk away and find your tribe that will lift you up and will be there for you.
Exactly. And I think LinkedIn is a good place to find. We have a very supportive community. And I'm very blessed for that as well. Gabe, Yvette, what say you?
Today, I was actually talking to my female students. We kind of huddled together, and I was asking them, like, what's the best thing about being a girl and what's the worst thing? And they said the worst thing was, well, the best thing, they had a whole list, but the worst thing was periods. And they're like, yeah, periods. And I said, yeah, that is what I'm looking forward to, is the end of all cycles when I go through menopause. So I think that is one of the blessings, is not having to be on a period anymore.
Yeah, unfortunately, that raises our risk for all the diseases. So be careful what you
It's a trade-off,
ask
right?
for, because that's when heart disease shoots up.
He's like, ha ha ha.
Sorry to
ha.
burst your
We
bubbles.
won't have this anymore, but guess what? Here's another card. Take this one.
Yeah,
No, for I think
sometimes.
I think the good thing is that we're all learning that no matter what, as long as we're, of course, open to, the discussion and conversation about what it's like, whether you are the one feeling it or whether you're one supporting and, watching it, witnessing. It's okay to say, things aren't okay, things aren't great, or things are awesome. It's okay to say either one. It's okay to enjoy either one. Not that you would enjoy, maybe not the right wording, but I get what I'm trying to say is that it's okay whether on which side of the fence you are, that as long as you talk, communicate, share what it is, how it feels, what you're feeling, what's going on, you're able to adjust to it. And that's all I want to say. Just keep an open mind to anything when it comes to dealing with any kind of health issue, anything that has to do, because our health issues are also the things that also change and can spike our emotional issues as well. So there you go.
Yeah, I'm just very grateful that you all decided to be on the show. So many golden nuggets. I know it's 1 a.m. across the pond. So I'm gonna close up the show now. But thank you so much for deciding to come on the show. Thank you to everyone who showed up live, who's watching on the replay. I hope you all got great information. I certainly did. Please leave your contact information on LinkedIn, links to your shows or to your coaching programs, whatever it is you want to share with the audience, because as Jackie was saying earlier, sometimes you need that extra support, and whether it's a relationship coach, menopause coach, whatever it is, you need to listen to relationship, how it's supposed to be, listen to Gabe and Yvette's show. I think we can get so much off of LinkedIn if we communicate and we connect with each other. So please connect with each other on the platform. Join us next 2 weeks for another conversation about menopause. I think Annie has either gone into his car, gone under the covers. This is not really a topic that he loves talking about. So I'm not sure he's here, but I really appreciate you guys being here. I will post a newsletter tomorrow on this topic. So please, if you could leave contact information on that newsletter, your thoughts on that newsletter as well, I appreciate it. Annie, you're back. You're here.
Of course, I'm here. Anyway, don't ignore your comments.
I
was telling them how Charles looks after you.
I heard you. I was here.
Sure.
I could have piped up, but I thought no. I'll leave that. It's true though. Charles is. Charles. I want to go and live with Charles. If we'll let us know there.
Yes. And he makes a chili or something like that. Oh yeah, I want to come live with Charles too.
He cooks many things. Charles is. He's just. It's the sort of man I want to be when I grow up one day. See. You can tell him I said it. Well, he'll know I said that anyway. I've said that before, so it's not new. Anyway, look, and I say Queen Leah says, "Great to see you, Jackie." Dropping those golden nuggets as she does. I said, you see, Jackie actually moves all the way through the show. She actually moves. I thought it was a screen that was moving from when I joined her shows. I know she actually moves and moves and moves like that.
For some reason, only Leah's comments came up on our screen. I don't know why.
Because it's Queen Leah, rightly so, right?
They had to go to my page. The comments weren't going to Streamlight unless they went to my page where I shared the link. It's the weirdest thing because there's so many comments, so many great people were here supporting everybody, and they just didn't show for us. But
please, y'all, if there are any questions in that comment section that you all could respond to as well,
No,
Please do that.
not that I can see on my screen. No, if you
No,
can see on
no,
your screen.
these are fine. So you don't have to go through all of them, Annie. We can go through them after. It's 1 a.m. I want Paula to get some sleep.
Amazing to see you, Lisa. You always
Yes.
lighten up. It's up, lighten us up with your wisdom.
Yes.
I just thought, you might as well say it, right?
Okay.
And
Thank you.
that's what trying to get him to move on very quickly, but I'm not. You know me, Lisa. I'm not doing that. I'll do it very slowly. Make sure
Oh
all
my
your
God.
compliments are recognized.
Yes. Thank you
Chorizo is
very
here
much.
though. Have you seen Chorizo is here? Did you
Well, it
welcome her?
is. No, I didn't see her in the comments. I've stopped getting comments actually. It stopped showing up on my phone. But thank you everyone for joining us. We will see
Yeah.
you in 2 weeks' time.
You
Bye,
will.
everybody.
As you will.
Yes, thank you.
Now that our date is confirmed, that's all good. So bye everyone. Thanks for joining us. Bye.
Bye.
Every step forward is a new beat to your drama. She's success with Global.Media.com and celebrate it with or without champagne or rum. She's success with Global.Media.